I found that turning to highly lubricated or very dry writing inks is an effective way to address problems with nibs that write too dry or wet. That is correct. In fact, I've been happily surprised at how effective this approach can be. Can you give us a list of the most lubricated inks, in addition to the obvious answer, Noodlers, that's not necessarily true, and least lubricated, most scratchy, dry writing inks? I would appreciate knowing this. Okay, so yeah, some of Noodler's inks are very wet, like the Noodler's Eels, the Polars. The reason that Noodler's inks can tend to write wet is because they're highly saturated inks. There's a lot of dye in them, and so there's a lot of lubricant that's added in because dye makes ink write dry. So a lot of lubricants added to them to make them flow better. So they can be rather wet writing. Now, I will say that the Eels and the Polars are lubricated inks. However, if you go with any of the Eternal inks, those tend to write pretty dry. So that would be a suggestion for dry ones. Monteverde inks tend to be pretty wet. They have their ITF technology, whatever they call it. It's essentially lubricant. Pilot Iroshizuku tends to write pretty wet as well. And dry, generally speaking, the driest inks that I can recommend is the Pelikan 4001 series, just the regular Pelikan inks. They write drier than any ink that I've ever used. And then there are some, that's kind of like brand-wide things that I can recommend. There are some inks here and there that are wet, dry, so on and so forth. That will take just a little bit of experimentation. I can't rattle off the top of my head all of those.